focused on you.
As we go on the air at 4, we're following breaking news out of Sumner High School in North St. Louis. 4 students were rushed to the hospital after ingesting some type of gummy or edible, possibly containing THC. 6 other students were evaluated at the school and released to their parents. The students all complained of nausea. All are said to be doing well. Authorities tell us it appears another student snuck the items into school after reportedly buying them at a nearby convenience store. A spokesman for St. Louis Public Schools says that student has been identified and will be disciplined according to the SLPS Code of Conduct. 5 on Your Side will stay on top of this developing story. Look for updates on air on KSDK.com and on the 5 on Your Side app.
We want to get now to some new developments out of Granite City. Right now, police are looking for this man wanted for shooting a police officer overnight. That officer is now recovering at home after a short trip to the hospital. It happened just after 10 last night on Delmar Avenue. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brent Solomon.
And I'm Kay Quinn. Police say David Freeze is still at large. He is injured and likely still armed with a gun. 5 on Your Side's Laura Barcheski is live from the Granite City Police Department. She has new information for us. Laura?
Kay and Brent, while the Granite City Police Chief tells me the neighborhood where this all began is likely not in any danger at this hour, Donald Freeze is still at large, and they believe he could still be armed and possibly anywhere in the St. Louis area. So take a look at this picture again. This is Donald Freeze, provided by the Granite City Police. If you see him or know where he is, you're asked to call 911 right away. Police say Freeze is a convicted felon and has been previously charged with second-degree murder, yet he was out on the streets. He's now facing 5 charges for this most recent incident after shooting a Granite City police officer in the arm. The police chief says 2 of his officers were responding to a disturbance call at a home on Delmar just after 10 p.m. last night. They were talking to Freeze behind a house when the conversation took a turn and Freeze shot one officer in the arm. The other officer shot back and then cared for his partner, who is now expected to recover and is resting home with his family.
I do want to point out the fact that the other officer that was on scene did a fantastic job covering his buddy. Not only did he cover the officer, but he also applied a tourniquet immediately, which I'm sure probably helped the officer. I don't know if that injury would have been life-threatening, but that quick wit and having that sense about himself was outstanding, and we applaud his quick actions.
The mayor tells me that Donald Freeze is not from Granite City, and it's been decades since they've actually had an officer shot here in this town. Again, if you see Donald Freeze, call 911 right away. Reporting live in Granite City, Laura Barcheski, 5 on Your Side.
All right, thank you, Laura. Now to new developments in a triple shooting that killed 2 teenagers in Oakville. Police identified the second victim as 16-year-old Tyree Williams.
And he and 15-year-old Colin Courtwright were found dead Monday afternoon near an apartment complex. A third person is still in the hospital. 19-year-old Tyler Coleman and 18-year-old Zacard Huff are being behind bars charged with murder. Police say the shooting stemmed from a drug deal involving marijuana cartridges.
Right now, East St. Louis police are looking for the person who shot a man and a woman. It happened outside a liquor store on Bond Avenue yesterday afternoon. A 5-month-old baby was also hurt, but is expected to recover. Police say the victims were inside their parked car when someone in a passing vehicle opened fire. The baby's injuries are not believed to be from gunfire. Right
now, the Major Case Squad investigating a deadly shooting in Cahokia Heights. It happened Tuesday afternoon at a home on Mildred Avenue. Officers found 22-year-old Bradford Reedus with a gunshot wound. He died at the scene. Right now, no suspects have been identified. If you know anything, contact the Major Case Squad at 618-332-4277. Well, the St. Louis Circuit Attorney says a man who has been in prison since 1991 should be set free. Gabe Gore filed a petition today to vacate the murder conviction of Christopher Dunn. Our Christine Byers is following the latest developments for us. And Christine, this isn't the first time this case has been called into question.
That's right. I think it's fair to say that St. Louis Circuit Attorney Gabe Gore doesn't agree with much about the way Kim Gardner ran the office before he was appointed to replace her. One of her last acts in office was to file a motion to vacate the murder conviction of Christopher Dunn. Today, Gore agreed with that decision and filed a similar motion of his own. Christopher Dunn was 18 years old when he was convicted of the fatal shooting of 15-year-old Rico Rogers. Among key evidence used to convict him was testimony from 2 boys who have since recanted their statements. When Gore took office in June, he appointed a former federal judge, Booker Shaw, to review the case in conjunction with the Midwest Innocence Project.
We obtained some expert testimony, an expert report that I think is going to be very helpful in terms of further supporting the recantations of the witnesses in terms of explaining why the identifications that they testified to at trial would in fact be very difficult and unlikely.
Just within the past few minutes, I spoke with the Missouri Attorney General's office, and their office says that they will be filing a response to this motion in the coming days.
All right, thank you, Christine. Right now, the Secretary of State is back in Israel, where he met with Israeli and Palestinian leaders as they work toward a deal to bring hostages home.
And as the Biden administration works to end the war, Congress is still debating whether to send more aid to both Israel and Ukraine. NBC's Alice Barr reports from Capitol Hill.
A striking split screen today between challenging negotiations in the Middle East and on Capitol Hill. Secretary of State Antony Blinken meeting with Israeli and Palestinian leaders. He's pushing for a breakthrough in talks over a ceasefire in Gaza and the release of the remaining Hamas-held hostages. Hostage families in Washington today meeting with lawmakers.
Very, very difficult for us to think about our son sitting there in the tunnels without food and water.
Hamas released a counter-proposal for a 135-day pause in the fighting over 3 phases. That includes, in the first phase, exchanging hostages for 1,500 Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails, many of them convicted of serious crimes. Hamas ultimately wants Israeli troops to fully withdraw from Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu forcefully rejecting that idea.
Only by destroying Hamas will we have security for the state of Israel.
At the same time, lawmakers on Capitol Hill are struggling to reach agreement on new military aid for Israel and for Ukraine. A test vote failing today in the Senate after Republicans rebelled against the bill's border security provisions. The Senate's top Democrat now advancing an alternative that removes border policy.
For all those Republicans who said, who first said, we want it with border, and now say we want it without border, they got both options.
The bill is not passed.
Last night, the House voted down a standalone aid package for Israel. Gridlock in Washington and the Middle East posing serious threats to national and global security. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
3 years after pledging to put Augusta, Missouri on the map, the developers are quietly backing out of the community.
Police and firefighters faced off in the boxing ring last Thanksgiving, and now they just delivered all of the money they raised that night. It's going to a good cause.
Temperatures flirting with 60 this afternoon around St. Louis as the sunshine occasionally peeks through the clouds. Looking at the weekend, the big changes on the way and even a chance for a couple of snowflakes for some of us. We'll show you when.